p.m. Please stand for the invocation followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Heavenly Father, we give sincere thanks for this opportunity to meet together. May we listen to one another intently with the purpose of bettering ourselves and our city. May we humbly accept the responsibilities assigned to us. May we carry out each of these responsibilities with thy help and to the best of our capabilities. May no one say about us that we have been selfish and have not considered those about us in our every decision. And thus we ask to let us grow as citizens and leaders in spirit and ability. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Ms. Parham.
Member Newcomb.
Present.
Member Jameson. Member Williams.
Present.
Member Geston. Member Bass.
Present.
Vice Chair Barnes.
Present.
Chair Weller.
Present. Thank you. All right, the first thing on the agenda is the approval of the minutes for April 3rd, April 22nd, June 12th, June 17th, and July 10th. I'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes. Second.
All right, we have a motion on the floor made by Member Barnes and seconded by Member Williams. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 All opposed indicate by saying no.
No.
Motion passes.
May I make a couple of changes?
5 to 1.
Corrections in the minute as far as name spellings.
Name spelling, yeah.
The minutes from June 17th, page 3 of 3. Her name is Betty Gloskowski, and it's Bettye Gloskowski.
Can you spell the last name again?
Gloskowski. And I wasn't, I'm new, so I've just got a question about the April 22nd meeting. On the bottom of page 1, there's RFP. What is RFP?
Request for proposal.
Excuse me?
Request for proposal.
Okay, thank you.
We have RFQs and RFP. RFQ is a request for qualifications, and RFP is a request for proposals.
Thank you.
Anything else?
That's it.
Thank you. Okay. The next item is the only item on the agenda to discuss, and that is the job requirements and job description for the CRA Executive Director position. Couple of things. On your dais in front of you, you'll see a job I guess it's a job description for a CRA director from the city of Live Oak that I think Board Member Barnes submitted. And then you'll also see another one, which actually is the one that we had looked at before, but I had revised it because I had also looked at the city of Live Oak, and I've got highlighted where I added new language and took out some of the language that was in there, particularly under the education, skills, and experience. I pretty much put in what Live Oak had. So we can get into discussing that. But before we do, I have some questions on the position itself that I think we need to answer. I think the major question is, who does the executive director report to? And I'm thinking that it probably will depend upon if the individual is actually an employee of the city or is a contract person. And I contacted our assistant city attorney this afternoon on that question, and I think she was going to contact City of Gainesville, I believe, to see how that's handled.
It usually reports to the board.
Right, but if it's an employee, if the person is hired through the city as an employee, then I don't know that it can be unless we actually do a contract with that person as a consultant type issue, which is fine. But then there's the question of who cuts the checks. Do you have to have a bank account? How we handle all of that. So that's why I contacted Ms. Johnson on it.
Right. This board is a little different than many of the other boards, even in Gainesville, that they're separate from the city.
Speak into it. Speak into the
Okay,
microphone.
they're somewhat separate from the city, and therefore, they're autonomous from that, their budget and everything else.
Right.
And the CRA director reports directly to that board. I would, even though you are commissioners also, I think you would have a contract with this individual, and that individual would report to you directly. Whoever it is would get support from the city in direction, but actually reporting to would be this board itself.
I don't have a problem with that. My only concern is if that occurs, how do we handle the payment to this individual if we rather than a check being cut through the city paying that individual, if we have to do it, then we've got to set up a bank account and someone has to be responsible for doing that. So those are the kind of things I think we need to discuss.
Well, we already separate the money. The money is separated, and you have your separate budget.
Right.
And everything is accounted for.
Correct.
We don't commingle the funds from the CRA into the regular general fund. So we could certainly do the work downstairs as far as the finance and take care of the financial. That's part of the money that is paid to the city for doing that. That's part of the now $50,000 that the city receives for doing all the financial work and everything else. So
it's just I was concerned. I wanted to know what the mechanics, how we do this.
right.
And I've put in a couple inquiries today with the City of Gainesville and Carol Westmoreland, who's the director of the Florida Community Redevelopment Association, just to make sure that we navigate this correctly. Because you're right, because there is a bit of a conflict. Clearly, you want someone who reports to the CRA. The CRA, you are the ones who want to select him or her, I'm sorry, make that decision, and that person reports to you. But under our charter, any employee of the city reports to your city manager.
Right.
So we just need to make sure that the mechanics are in place. But I'll certainly keep looking into that and seeing how we can do that.
Yeah, and I just want to make sure that with the person reporting directly to us, then we would have to draw up a contract with that person.
Yes.
And I want to make sure that the individual, that we can pay that individual through this, that the city, we can use the city's finances and not finances, but their staff to handle those things.
And I suspect that will be just like what Mr. Booth said, is you guys have that set money in the budget that goes to reimburse the city for city staff time for this.
Right.
That something like that, cutting a check weekly or monthly or however you pay this individual would just be part of that your finance director, however you run payroll.
Right. I just want that verified for,
we'll verify all that.
And then there's, I guess, if they're a consultant, then we don't have to worry about health insurance. I don't know. So those are some questions that I had. Yes, Member Barners.
Yeah, part-time, I think 20 hours still, it's part-time and no insurance would be involved.
Yes, sir.
As we've cut checks to the Priest Theater or to somebody that did some improvement in the city, that came out of a city checking account, but was designated to an account number.
Yes,
so
sir.
I'm sure the finance will work that way.
Yes,
We'll, and I agree we'll have to have some type of contract with an out clause for both sides. And at some period. We'll decide if it's 6 months or a year. And that'll get negotiated, I believe, between the two parties. So I think our finances are okay, the way we do it. And that person, in my opinion, would answer to the full CRA board.
Right.
Yeah.
And but yet get cooperation from the city, as you said. So,
The other questions I have on this is, what about office space? Where would we house this person? Also, as far as, obviously this person's going to need a computer, and office supplies and a phone, I would think. So I think we need to kind of flesh that out too.
So we have room
Okay,
either in this building or in the double wides, or
okay,
and so that shouldn't be a problem. And the person starting out will, of course, get a computer and do that. But that's not a huge expense.
well, I would think any office supplies would come out of the CRA budget, actually.
Yeah.
But I think when, we need to establish what it is we're going to provide this person as well.
that opens up another, Chair?
I'm sorry, Member Barnes.
That opens up the other issue of that person then becomes subject to sunshine law, and that computer would most likely should be a city property computer. Just a thought. So.
And we'll make sure that all of that's in the contract, that's spelled out to anybody
Yeah.
that you hire, that
Yeah.
help to maintain those records.
So.
And we could say that that's part of the 50,000 that's contributed.
Yeah.
To the
Okay.
city,
Okay.
Okay.
that would be, our.
And that person could have access to a computer up here and just have a separate password. You set up a separate
Okay.
password. Good questions. Thank you.
Okay. Those are the only questions I had as far as the mechanics of hiring a person. So then unless anybody else has any questions on the mechanics, we can move into the actual description.
I thank you for those, Commissioner. Those are good questions, and I think we incorporate that into any contract. And in the meantime, Mr. Booth can think about finding a computer here that may be available. So good questions. And if you don't mind, I'll make a couple comments on what I've got.
Sure.
It is a part-time job, and I'm of the opinion, I agree with the 95% of the changes you made in here. I like everything you've highlighted or taken out or added. I probably am in favor of a 2-year associate degree or 2 years experience rather than 4 years. And I added a comment familiar with Florida sunshine law,
Okay.
and that was the only comments I have on it. So I like what you've done. Right. Familiarity with Florida sunshine law and a 2-year degree or 2 years experience.
Anybody else? Questions? Comments?
Yeah.
Yes, Member Bass.
Mr. Barnes, you just said, I'm not sure I understood you. You said 2 years degree and 2 years experience?
Or.
Okay.
It has on page 3 qualifications to include but not limited to.
Right.
It says 4-year bachelor degree. I would accept a 2-year associate degree.
Right.
And then where it says or have a minimum of 4 years experience, I would make that 2 years.
Do we, and I don't know, do community colleges have majors in urban planning?
They have courses.
courses in them.
But I don't think they have
The
an
degree.
associate degree.
No.
They
But
certainly
would-
have courses.
So appropriate wording to that. I crossed out urban planning, just planning or related fields.
So what you're suggesting then is that someone with an associate degree that has really no experience as in this area that we're looking at would be eligible for consideration.
No, well, again, I'm saying a minimum of 2 years' experience in public-private planning. So I want to see that experience there as an alternate to a 2-year associate degree.
Right.
But I crossed out the word urban, but I left in planning. So I don't know how you find out what it.
Well, I mean, I understand that, but when you say or, then they can come in with just an associate degree, period. And they wouldn't have to have any kind of background whatsoever in planning. That's the only concern I have. I mean,
Well, then
experience-wise, yes, I think.
Could you change that to in lieu of, or some other way that I want somebody to have some planning experience.
Right.
Some experience in government.
I think you could just say or, you could put and, because you'd want both.
You know.
If somebody had an associate degree, you would want them to have some experience. They
Right.
may,
Right.
actually public administration would cover urban also. If somebody could come in here and have an associate degree. I'm not sure you can get an associate degree in public administration, but you can get a sort of a major in it.
Mm-hmm.
Have a general associate degree. But I think the experience is the most important.
Right.
Somehow you figure out how to put that in.
Sure.
Chair.
Yes, Member Bass.
And the only thing I would say in reference to the degree and or the experience,
Mm-hmm.
I think someone also that maybe not experienced doing this job, but has had a business or has had business experience that knows what a business is. I mean, that's, to me personally, that's more important than all the education in the world. Because if you've never had a business, you have no clue of what goes on. If you've only worked for cities or you've only worked for government agencies, you have no clue what goes on within a business. And I think sometimes, we overlook, business experience also.
Well, we could add something along that line with everything else. Yes, Member Newcomb.
Not in lieu of.
No.
No, not in lieu of, thank you. But under special requirements, you have gone a little further, I think, into what Member Bass was talking about when it says business, professional, political connections, and acumen in any of all these areas is highly desirable. And I think that when we begin to get the applications for this person, that if you say they have to have a 4-year degree, then you're limiting yourself to somebody that maybe hasn't had the opportunity of a 4-year degree, but maybe they've had a 2-year degree and they've worked their way through school, or they have started a business and in which they would have had some experience. So I agree with Commissioner Barnes in that, you don't want to limit yourself that you have to have a 4-year bachelor's degree. I also think the experience, as alluded to by Member Bass, is very important. So I think that you've covered that underneath the special requirements. Mm-hmm. The thing that we're going to have to do as a board is when these applications begin to come in is not to allow ourselves to be swayed by, ooh, they've got a 4-year degree. Ooh, right. They're in business. Ooh, whatever. Right. We're going to have to look at all of these areas and make sure that this is going to be someone that can work with the general public, that has some kind of business experience, that also is able to communicate
clearly and concisely with the public as well as with the CRA board and manage what we have. Thank you.
I don't have a problem at all with saying a 2-year associate degree. I just want to make sure that it's just not the associate degree by itself.
Right.
You know, that
They've got to have
there's that
experience.
experience out there
Yep.
that we're looking for. Yes, Member Barnes?
I'm looking at associate degrees through American Public University, and two that stick out to me, which you could say with emphasis on or emphasis in business administration or management. That's the two, out of the 20, that's the two that I see that fit, business administration or management. So you could say a 2-year associate degree with emphasis on business administration or management.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Ms. Johnson.
I was just going to say, too, if you want to leave that paragraph the way it is and make that an option 1, and then have an or, and then option 2 could be a 2-year associate's degree with an emphasis, the way Member Barnes said, with experience. So instead of messing with and or up in that first paragraph, just have another alternative with the associate degree and experience.
Okay.
So leaving the 4-year bachelor degree paragraph.
Leaving that
Option
intact,
1.
because if you're saying
Leaving that intact, the way
Right.
it is. And then adding a paragraph that says or option 2 or whatever.
Right, so have the first paragraph, and then you could have an or, and the next paragraph would be 2 years associate's degree with an emphasis on whatever you wanted, and a minimum of
Right.
however many years experience, something like that.
I like
Okay,
that.
yeah,
I like
I'm-
that too,
Yep,
in that way.
Member Newcomb?
Thank you. I really like that. For me personally, I would like for you to put option 1 and then option 2, so that we don't get any confusion with someone coming up and saying, oh, well, I have this, why can't,
No, I think you would say, definitely say
You are-
option 1.
yeah.
Okay, because
Option
they
2.
had
Yeah.
said paragraph 9, I wanted to
Right,
make
yeah.
sure that the option 1 and
No,
option 2 were in there.
I agree with, absolutely. Okay. And then anything else that anyone feels needs to be added or changed?
I have one more question.
Yes, Member Bass.
Under special requirements, under the proven record of financial business acumen,
And that's, well,
How
obviously
do you-
someone that's had a lot of experience in handling books, I guess, is what I'm, budget and stuff, but it could be worded differently. We could put something in there that basically says financial experience, or,
You
say
could put it,
bookkeeping.
I'm sorry, excuse me, but you could say
ma'am.
working knowledge
something, because
Yeah.
instead of
the
proven.
record, I mean, that's.
Proven's hard to prove.
Yeah.
So, working knowledge, I like, I've seen that many times.
Or finances, something.
Throw that in there somewhere.
Sure.
And wouldn't that show up in their,
Resume?
yeah.
Well, it could, but you just want to make sure that someone coming in knows that. You got to be kind of specific when you put things out, so they don't want to come in and say, "Oh, I didn't mean to say that."
Oh.
Yeah. And I don't know. I do have a question too on where it says grant writing experience is a plus. I really would think we need to have someone that does have some grant writing, either that, or that if they don't, then we ought to send them to some training on how to write grants. Because I think grant writing could be a something that occurs for us. I mean, I guess we could leave it as a plus, and if someone just doesn't have it, then we could just say, okay, you're going to be required they have grant writing courses that we could
So,
suggest that they,
okay, one more question.
yes, Member
So
Bass.
the CRA has the ability, besides the money that comes in, that's in our budget, the CRA also has the ability to write grants to get additional money from state or government. Okay.
Okay, anything else? And we should, then the resume would be sent to Ms. Parham, I guess, at City Hall. That's what would be filled in there, so where we would normally send those things to. Okay.
What I'll do is send your comments and all that to Ms. Westmoreland, let her take a look at it, and then send it back, and we'll go out for resumes, probably within the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, I put up here, at the top, well, you would take city manager out there, but under application deadline, because we had talked about wanting this individual to start as of October 1, to be in line to start, or within a week or two after that, at least anyway. So I wasn't sure if August 30th was we're at the end of July now, if that is sufficient, especially if you've got someone that maybe have a job and would have to give notice and that type of thing. So I don't know if you all feel comfortable with that time frame or if you want to change it.
I'm okay with it.
I mean, we can shoot for it, I guess.
What did we budget for that?
We budgeted $25,000.
Do we want to say pay range up to 25,000?
Yeah.
Up to? Because, let's say somebody comes in, and I thank you, Chair, for letting me speak.
Yes, Member.
I'm a proponent of saying, here's what you start at, and in 60 days, you could go here. So that's just my comment. But I would like the word pay range up to 25,000.
I don't have a problem with that. Member Bass?
Yeah, I just came up with another question when you said that. Is there going to be a time frame of, the word has lost me. Like when you start a job, you have
Probation.
Probation. Thank
Yes.
you very much.
Yeah, that's-
Is there going to be a
Well,
probation within this?
If you have a contract with the individual, I don't know that you really need a probation. I mean, it depends on how the contract's probably worded,
I think that depends on how you want to do it. If you want to draft a contract that gives them a short period of time, a probationary period of time, where they have to meet certain benchmarks by certain dates, or you can do it where we have a 1-year contract and we have a termination provision that gives you guys
30 days
that
notice.
30 days notice, 60 days, however you want to do that. So we can structure a contract however you guys want that someone would accept.
We know we're not going to give health insurance to this individual.
Right.
But we probably are going to give mileage.
Okay.
I mean, that's what I would,
Right.
board I would recommend, because this individual will be going to some meetings, doing some traveling.
In addition to that, and I don't know if this is something you guys want to consider, but and I always mess up the acronym, but the Florida Redevelopment Association is having their annual meeting in October.
Right.
And registration, I believe, is due about September 15th. I don't know if that's something that you would want your director to attend. I actually think I'm going to attend this year. It sounds like a great networking opportunity, a lot of great sessions, and it might be something you guys want to discuss
I've been to one, and it really is a wonderful.
to do that, especially if it's somebody who maybe hasn't worked for a CRA before or something. That would be a great way to make contacts.
We could, even if we don't have someone hired when the registration's due, we could go ahead and register them and just change the name.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's what you probably would have
Yeah.
to do that. So you'll need to look into that sooner rather than later. And you guys are members, so
Right.
you get a discounted rate. And I want to say that it's just shy of $400 is the registration for that conference, but it's down in Miami, so there'd be other costs associated with that.
Yeah, we just became them.
Okay.
have one more question.
Yes, Member Bass. When it was mentioned a while ago about a phone, I just see, and I don't know how it works within the city, but a cell phone, because I just see this person being out. This person is not going to be sitting in an office 8 hours a day.
Correct.
To be near. So does that,
It would be
within the contract that it would be is
We'll
that
put
how
him-
you work that?
We'll put him under our umbrella, is what we do.
But that could be part of the contract, and that, and might be a real perk for somebody if you're saying, well, your cell phone will be covered and we're going to provide you mileage when you're driving out and meeting with people, and that might help somebody with, since this isn't a substantial salary, that would be hard for somebody to travel and cell phone and things like that.
Member Barnes.
Yeah, absolutely good points. And as like with my phone now, I'm on unlimited everything. But so if somebody comes on board that has that, we give them an allowance. We agree on allowance. If they don't have that, then you put them under the umbrella of the city. So that's negotiable, but I agree. It's going to be something they'll need. So yeah, it's negotiable.
But they will also, well, I guess, if they're going to have an office in the city, there's probably be a phone there for them as well, a desk phone, if you will, for them. But they would also have the cell phone option. Okay. Anything else?
Just as long as you've got some notes on some of the changes. My notes are pay range up to 25,000. So this or option 1 or option 2.
Correct. Sunshine law.
Sunshine law, and I don't know. I made a note of working knowledge of financial and business records.
Right.
And those are my notes.
I think everyone's on board with that.
And who's going to who's going to get that done? Jenny?
Yeah, we'll
Adam?
do a coordinated effort, and then we'll get it out by first part of next week to Westmoreland, and then we'll have her get it back within a few days. And
Okay.
Put it out.
Okay.
So your August the 30th is probably, we'll probably have about a 3-week window that they can get the resume.
I know obviously you would put it on the association's website. Is there any other place that we would advertise it? I mean,
They must have a newsletter that goes out, sort of like the League of Cities, and so we'll find out from Ms. Westmoreland and advertise it through that too.
in our local paper, I would think.
If there's time to put it in the Observer?
You could get it if you got it in this week, because she doesn't go to print till next week.
Oh, the Observer.
Yeah.
I would like it to see it go in Observer, and what else?
And the Alachua Today. I'm sorry, something else?
There was another place I was thinking of, but
Our website,
the website.
and not just on the, I was gonna say not just on the CRA portion of it, but. Okay. Okay. Anything else come before the board? Yes, Member Newcomb.
Not about this. May I bring up something that was asked? I received a phone call before I came today with a question.
It's not, as long as something we can't vote, we don't vote on.
You don't have to vote on it. It's a question as to the bike racks. Were the bike racks purchased by the CRA or were they purchased by the City of High Springs?
They were not purchased by either.
Weren't purchased by either.
No, they were purchased by the CDC.
Okay. Are there any bike racks left? And the reason I'm asking is because school is about to start up again. and Sammy Nelson is having anywhere from 30 to 50 kids show up a day, and they are now riding bicycles. Well, you can't park the bikes on the sidewalk, but in the back area of the store, he was wondering about putting some bike racks back there to where they could lock their bikes in. And so he asked me, were there any bike racks still available? And I have no clue who to ask.
He hit me up already.
Oh, he did? Okay.
Along with half
trying
his
to
water bill.
He's trying to cover all bases.
Yes, he does. Yeah, I know.
And there's also, I know that there's one of those black loop, one with the loops, if you will, that was down at the end of the corner there. And you may be able to put one on the other side of the corner, on the other corner.
He could, but he has mass. We'll look at those normal bike racks. Lots of them in, and there were some of them around, and we're trying to locate them.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you for
Alright.
that.
Okay.
I actually have an update on some questions you guys had at our last
Okay.
meeting. One, you guys had a request about the CRA purchasing a cover for the old fire truck.
Yes, ma'am.
I've reviewed your plan. I don't see anything in the High Springs plan that would allow you to do that. I think it would be too attenuated a connection between what your CRA plan is in doing that. So it would be my recommendation that no.
At least not in the current plan.
At least not in the current plan,
Correct.
no. I don't think that that's something that's in the plan for you to spend your money on. You additionally ask if I would look and see if you guys could offer grants that were not matching grants. I'll keep looking, but I have not found anything that would indicate to me that you could not offer full grants that weren't matching. That, if you wanted to have a residential grant, you don't have to require a citizen to match that, as long as it's clear and that's what the rules are.
Is that only residential?
No,
No.
that was just an example.
Okay.
And finally, you ask about the CRA's ability to advertise and have a billboard outside of the district. That one's getting a little trickier, and I've put out some inquiries and feelers and waiting to hear back. When you guys had your forensic audit by Kessler in 2012, it was their opinion that the CRA could not use funds to advertise and have a billboard. I think reading through your plan, and your plan clearly is very old, and obviously you guys are about to gear up to revamp it, so it's kind of a basic plan, but I certainly think that there's enough in there for you to argue that economic development was part of your original plan, and that this billboard is for economic development. I'm waiting for Carol Westmoreland and a few others to get back to me, so I think if you want to do it, there's room to do it, but there was a caution from Kessler, but I haven't found anything, Attorney General opinions or anything like that says that you can't advertise and you couldn't have a billboard. And I do know that other CRAs are advertising and doing things like that. So I'll certainly report back if I find out that you can't, but I think there's room there to do it.
Okay. Thank you.
And in talking about the regional planning, the plan, the regional planning group is working on that 10-year plan
Okay.
as we speak. Should have it out within the next at least 2 months.
2 months?
I've given them a deadline of 2 months, and they should have it out even quicker than that. Within the next 3 weeks, the planning group will have a legal description, which is something that's being required by the county for an extension. That was one of their requirements. They'll have that out in the next 3 weeks.
Legal description of
the CRA.
you mean
The boundaries.
Boundaries.
Yes, that's what
Yeah,
they've requested.
We have a map and identifies it, but it doesn't really have any legal description with it.
Right, it
Almost
just talks about the streets. It just
Yeah.
says to.
almost like a survey?
It's sort of like a survey.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they're able to do that pretty good because GIS, they have a big GIS system. They market, farmers market. Callum Gibbs has some requirements from the RDA, and that should be in pretty quickly, directly to the RDA, and then I'll get a letter that says to proceed. Everything so far has been taken care of, and there's just one last thing from Callum. And I know Callum has tried to get a hold of them, and they're very difficult. So I will try to get Rebecca and the two of them together here in the next few days.
Okay.
She's out in the field a lot, I know, but she's the one working on that.
And then my understanding is, as soon as they get that, then they're looking to have an event of awarding.
We've asked for 2 events.
Okay.
Okay, they've asked us, that has been such a pain. We'll have one where they give us the check, the big check, and we'll have that, and then we'll have a grand opening.
Okay.
Music and who knows, but we'll have a good one. And then we'll go out for, once we get the approval, we'll go out for bids. We'll also bid on the parking, and in that, the new parking we have is really being used, so, so it's a good thing. We keep adding parking lots, small parking lots like that.
The bid for the parking, that's an alternate A or B or whatever, so that in case there's some money left over,
Yes,
that money would be used towards that parking.
that is correct.
Okay. Anything else?
That's about it.
Yes, Member Bass.
I'm sorry for all these questions, but when is the actual year for the CRA budgets?
Same as the city, October 1 through September 30th.
Okay, and I had a business owner inquire about a grant, matching grant. So we are not into the next year yet.
No, but
can they go ahead and fill out an application?
Sure. Is this a home or business?
Business.
Sure, either one. They just
Okay.
need to come up, fill out an application, and we put it toward the board.
Okay, so they don't have to wait until October 1st?
No.
No.
I mean, it could be depending on the funds, what they're asking for. You know, if we have the funds this year, or we could say, okay, we'll approve this now, or, and use the money now, or for next year, depending on when they're looking for it.
Okay.
Anything else? Anything from the audience?
I had one more, too.
Yes.
I'm sorry. At the last meeting, you guys had discussed setting this meeting permanently, or that was 2 meetings ago, and then I missed the last meeting, so I wasn't sure if you guys had decided on a set day each month for the CRA meeting.
No,
No.
Okay.
It's just, the request is really, at that point, was to not hold it the same day as a commission meeting, because sometimes we get longer than an hour on things that we need to talk about.
Okay.
That's basically what we're looking at.
I think we also talked about who could call a meeting, but we never, who could call a CRA meeting.
Well, I think you've got anybody that wants a meeting, I think would probably need to contact Ms. Parham and ask her to poll and see if anyone has a problem with holding, a meeting on that. And if there is a consensus to have it, then you have it.
Do we want to plan a next one?
Yeah, no, absolutely, I do. Because I think, it helps if we can go ahead and plan our calendars.
In your bylaws, it just says that the Board of Directors shall meet in regular monthly sessions at the discretion of the Executive Committee at a time and place designated by the Board.
Right.
And then it says special meetings of the Board of Directors for any purpose may be called by the President or Vice President, or may be called at the request of at least 2 voting members of the Board.
Okay.
That's in,
This is in your bylaws
of the CRA?
of the CRA?
Get out.
I think it's your bylaws.
Well, I didn't know we had bylaws. Then we had an ordinance and a plan.
They talk about
I
president.
have a copy of it up at the top. Now it's handwritten, but it says HSCRA, and then it says Bylaws of High Springs Community Development Corporation. And
I don't remember.
if you don't have copies, I would be happy
Yes,
to get
please.
you all copies
Okay,
of
that'd
this.
be good.
But it referred to presidents, vice
Now, some of the language probably needs to be
Yeah,
updated in it, and this might have been borrowed from somebody else in it. But I think we could certainly imply that president and vice president are chair and vice chair.
Right, I would think so. Okay, so is Tuesday a good evening to?
good for me.
When would you like to have the next meeting? August, I'll be here August 12th. The 19th or the 26th?
Madam Chair, I'd be inclined to the first Tuesday in the month, because like I said, I have meetings already scheduled for the 2nd and 3rd.
Okay. So you think you're talking about the first Tuesday of the month being the 5th,
Mm-hmm.
which is next week?
Next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday, so we don't need that one that fast.
Do you want to do one for the 2nd or the 4th Tuesday?
2nd and 3rd Tuesday not good for me.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry. The 1st and the 2nd Tuesday is not good for me.
And you won't be here on the 3rd. The 19th.
Oh, the 3rd Tuesday, that's correct.
So it looks like the 26th.
Yeah.
Look, we probably need
At
one
best.
before then.
I'm sorry?
Yeah,
We probably need one before then.
Yeah.
What are you going to discuss?
Well, you
You're gonna
either have
discuss
it-
this thing.
If it's, we could at this point, what about on Monday? On a Monday?
That's fine with me. Any minute.
Monday the 11th or Monday the 4th?
I could do Monday the 11th. I could do Monday the 4th. Then, that's just next week, though.
Yeah, that's next week, so.
I would suggest no, Monday's not good.
I can't do
Okay.
next Monday.
No, what about the 11th?
Yeah, any Monday other than the 4th.
How long is it going to take? Did you say that it would be 2 to 3 weeks before we could get this thing typed up and get it to Westmoreland and ask her?
Oh,
What
no,
did you say?
no.
Couple of days.
A
Couple of days?
Yeah.
Okay, because I was going to say,
Shoot for the 11th.
Yeah, it's
Let's
August,
have one on the 11th.
August 11th. I'm sorry. Yes,
Well,
Ms. Johnson?
and I will certainly can make it work. I do attend City of Newberry meetings, which are the same weeks as your commission meetings, but on Monday. So
Okay.
the 2nd and 4th Mondays are bad for me, but I can, I can probably have Scott do it. But if that was going to be a permanent thing, that would be an issue for me.
I would
No,
not
I
be
think
looking at
no.
the Monday being a permanent.
But in this case. we've
But just
got a lot
because of the way
going
that
on.
things are working out in the month of August at this point, because people are going on vacation, and we got the Florida League of Cities meeting, type of thing. So
Okay.
August 11th at 6 p.m.
I'm okay with that.
Okay. All right, so we'll set it for August 11th at 6 p.m. Anything else? Take a motion to adjourn then?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Meeting's adjourned at 6:50 p.m. Thank you.